Oh, I got a
there
fish.
You got one. Is it?
I have no idea what it is.
Pretty good size, isn't it? Nice one. I think you do have one. Catching fish, Bobby. You got to catch them pretty fast. The guy don't show up till 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Go fishing. Well, I got one too. First hook up is through. Look at that. Look at that. Ah, that's what I'm talking about. God, that's great. Oh my goodness. How big's that guy? Another small one. Yeah. Pretty good little fish. Pretty good little fish.
Yeah.
You got that worm Wacky style, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I turned this one around too. That Wacky style is a pretty good way to rig them.
It is.
Yeah, you got a ring on yours.
Yeah, that's what Sean put me.
Oh, he put that ring on there for you.
Yeah, we can find his boat.
Yeah, I got some in my boat up there too. Ooh, he took off. He hit as soon as it hit water, didn't he?
When it hit the reeds over there, it jumped up out of the reeds to try to get it.
Pretty good fish there, isn't it?
No. It may be a little better than I think.
No, I think he's a little bit better than you. Looked like he made a pretty good ball when he come out there and got it. Oh yeah, he's a better fish.
Yeah.
He's acting like he knows what he's doing anyway,
Yeah.
doesn't he? Yep.
He's mean anyway.
Yep, he was pulling really good.
Yeah.
Really, really good.
Pretty fish.
He come from the bank out to it, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, as soon as it hit those reeds, he'd come out of the water and try to get it. He was up real tight.
Yeah. Getting this down the grass pretty quickly. I'm gonna fish it a little faster. They might, all that rain and cloud cover, they might have moved a lot closer. Well, we've got Jamie coming over here to fish with, to get in the boat with Tommy and I. And what we're going to do for Lucky Strike Lures, we're doing a live Facebook takeover, they call it. And it's going to be about a 20 or 30 minute deal that we'll have on the Lucky Strike live Facebook page. We're also going to run it up, I think, a little bit on our Facebook page also. And so you'll see us with another guy in the boat here with us. That's exactly what we'll be doing. And I think that I would call it, like a country boy, we'd call it like killing 2 birds with 1 stone, wouldn't we, Tommy?
Yes, sir.
That's exactly what
right.
we're doing. And so once we get started, we're going to start that here in just a little bit, about another 3 or 4 minutes. And once we start that, we're going to be probably maybe answering some questions of some of the Facebook viewers, and kind of playing along with them for about 30 minutes here, right in the middle of our fishing day. And then we're going to let them all go back to work.
Yeah.
And Tommy and I are going to go back to work fishing all day.
That's right. Next couple days.
Yes, absolutely. Hello, Lucky Strike Facebook fans. We're out here in Texas fishing today. It came a tremendous rainstorm last night. I mean, thunder, lightning, pouring down rain, and so we got a little late start this morning. But we're fishing a Lucky Strike pow stick. Some of the fish are on the bed. It's a full moon night. Some of the fish are on the bed. Some of the fish have spawned on, the majority of the fish, as a matter of fact, spawned on last month's moon, not this month. But we still have some fish that are in shallow water, and we've got a pow stick on, and actually we've got this rigged Wacky style. And I'll show you what we're talking about when we have it rigged Wacky style. Now, up in my boat, I've got some O-rings, and it's a rubber O-ring that we put around this. Tommy's got it on his, but it's the only one we have in the boat. And we didn't know whether to go ahead and just rig it Wacky style, or he could make a cast and give me that rod, and I could make a cast, and we had it rigged with the O-ring.
Yeah.
Anybody got any questions about wacky worm fishing or anything for that matter, if you'll just let us know here on Facebook Live, well, we'll try to answer them. Any questions that are too difficult for me, I'm going to let my buddy Tommy Renfro back there answer.
Question, do you prefer the band or just skin hook it most of the time?
You know, I really prefer having the rubber band on there, having that rubber O-ring on there. I sometimes call that a split ring. It's not a split ring at all, but it's a rubber O-ring, and I prefer that. I think you lose less worms that way, and I think you got more action using that than you do just going ahead and skin hooking that thing through. And we're doing a fishing show for Jimmy Houston Outdoors today, Tommy and I, and we're also doing some of the lake conservation we was talking about. We're going to be taking out some smaller fish, and you'll be able to see this show on the 2020 Jimmy Houston Outdoors series, and you'll be able to see some previews of this show within the next couple of weeks probably on the Jimmy Houston Outdoor YouTube channel. We put up several new videos a week on there. It allows us to put up a lot of things that we really don't have time to show on television, and some things that they may not let us show on television. But listen, I appreciate all the questions. I appreciate y'all tuning in on the Jimmy Houston Outdoors Facebook page, as well as my buddies over at Lucky Strike, their Facebook page. I know some of you are going to win a prize today. Don't know how you win it, don't know what the prize is. If it's fishing lures, holler at me. I'll help you use them. See y'all later. Be sure to go to our Jimmy Houston Outdoors YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. You're going to be glad you did.
This portion of Jimmy Houston Outdoors has been brought to you by Mercury Marine. Go boldly. Jimmy Houston Outdoors, America's favorite fishing show, is brought to you by Tracker Boats. Call 1-800-TRACKER today. By Mercury Marine. Go boldly. By Soft Science, supreme comfort footwear for the angler. By shellrotella, the engine oil that works as hard as you do. And by Super Start batteries, available exclusively at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Right, fish. A transfer. Transfer bass.
Pulling good.
It may not be, maybe a little bit too long.
No.
I think about right.
About right.
There's a little guy, a little bitty guy. I mean, that's a tiny guy right there. He says, "What are you calling me tiny for, Jimmy?" I says, "'Cause you are. All you need to do is look around and you'll see that you're not very big." He said, "You gonna put me in that box and eat me?" "No, sir. I'll put you in that box and move you to a new house, a brand new house."
That's a pretty one.
That's perfect. Mm-hmm. Perfect. That fish is thinking, "Oh, I'm going to get eaten for dinner." And then he's going to be turned loose in a great new place and having a lot of fun. If you got a private lake of any kind, or you got a pond, I don't care if it's a half-acre pond or you got a big giant private lake, and you know there's private lakes here in Texas that I fish some of them that are 500 acres. I'm telling you, 500-acre private lake. And but you can't just leave that water and let it and expect it to be good. It'll be good for a little while when you build the lake, but then the fishing will start to go downhill. Your fish will not be healthy. You'll find out you're catching a lot of fish, but not many big fish at all. And you know, because lakes cannot take care of themselves. Just like a baby can't take care of itself, lakes can't take care of themselves. And one of the things that Tommy and I are doing out here is we're moving a lot of fish from a lake, a big lake. This lake is, you know, well over 100 acres. And we're moving the fish out of the lake here because there's a lot of fish in this lake, a lot of big fish in this lake. But there's a lot of little fish, and they've got to be moved, taken out. Yeah, I mean, you can eat them if you want, and that's fine, but you're going to have to take those small fish out. And Tommy, you actually manage several lakes for individuals out here, and because most people don't take out enough fish. Well, there we go. Speaking of taking out a fish.
We manage 10 different lakes, and they're all privately owned. We have exclusive rights to them, and so we have a lot of control over how we manage them. But fish like this are very important to take out, so the bigger ones have a chance to grow. Yeah.
And there's only so much fish in a lake, and of course, the important thing in managing a private lake too is to make sure you have enough food.
Right.
It won't just naturally produce food on its own.
That's
It'll
right.
produce some, but not enough usually.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
So things like fertilizing a lake, which I believe in, if you do nothing else, fertilize.
Right.
But fertilizing a lake, adding shad, adding crawfish. In Texas, tilapia is a big fish to add. And all of those things are really, really important. But even at that, if you don't take the little fish out, your big fish will just simply have too much competition for stuff to eat.
Yeah.
Had to be on this point. Had to be on this point. Well, they're strong little rascals, aren't they?
Little sucker, huh?
Pretty doggone healthy fish. Your bait come up here and kiss my hand.
I
And
know, that's why I need one of those O-rings.
yeah, you got to have that O-ring on there.
Yeah.
Or double hook it.
One get it?
One got it. Not a giant, but a fish. Slow rolling that spinnerbait and then down around that brush. Don't matter where I go or what they're biting, still got to catch one on a spinnerbait. At Rayburn tournament, all 3 days of practice this year, I never caught a single bass on a spinnerbait. And then the first bass I caught in the tournament was on a spinnerbait. It was the only bass I caught in the tournament was on a spinnerbait. But I did catch one on it.
Yeah.
I ended up calling him in after a while. He wasn't a big one.
Yeah.
But I put it on to try to catch a real big fish. I mean, I knew where a real big one was. I thought, you know, he might jump that spinnerbait. He didn't.
That one knocked your blade off.
Oh, he did, didn't he? At least it fell.
Jimmy's Look Back is brought to you by Tracker Boats. Call 1-800-TRACKER today.
I noticed that you don't get too excited during the early parts of the game anyway, you know, just sort of laid back, spectating a little bit.
Just kind of cheer my team on for the first couple innings, and if you get into every game, it becomes such a roller coaster ride. Like last night, if you were out there for the whole time, you get up and you get down, you get excited, non-excited. And by the time it's time for me to work, I'm so worn out from watching the game.
Well, you know, I never had thought about that, but I guess that would be right. You know, for a reliever, that's a little bit different. You know, 3 or 4 runs in the first inning, of course, especially the way the Mariners are scoring this year. 3 or 4 or 5 runs early in the game really don't mean a thing, and it doesn't mean anything about whether you know, to get excited about or to get down about if you're ahead or behind either one.
The way everybody's scoring runs nowadays, you know, if we give up 4 or 5 in the first or second or third, then you know, normally I'd be able to relax and know that we'd be able to hold them right there, but you know, we've been putting 8 or 9 runs on the board, and if you relax in the 4th or 5th inning and kind of let your guard down, then...
Of course, we've got a lot of ballparks that are really a lot built more hitters' ballparks, you know.
Yeah.
We were talking this morning about Denver. I mean, just regular fly balls or home runs, and that's what everybody talks about. But I've watched some games at Colorado, and the one thing that I've seen there, too, just like line drives are so much harder. Ground balls get through the infield quicker.
Right.
They go through the infield out there like AstroTurf, or even faster than AstroTurf, because of just the same. I think it's a fish. Golly, it is, but it's not a crappie. It's something really big and bad. It's definitely not a crappie. There he goes. Probably a big bass. No, it's a little bass, not a big bass. I tell you what, if I'd have lost him, that'd have been a 6-pound bass.
At least.
No doubt about it. What are you doing down there, buddy? Eating my crappie? Got my roadrunner in your mouth, don't you? I thought that was a big bass. I really did. I tell you what. I don't know if you have very many tricks out there filming, pitching. But here, this is a 6-pound bass. This is the way my buddy Bill and Roland does it right here. There's a huge fish right there.
That's a nice one.
Yeah, you got to make sure you keep your fingers behind, because you get your finger out there, it looks like you got a finger like an NBA player, you know. That's not a bad little bass, though.
What are you, about 7'3" now?
Yeah, I'm 7'3".
Big hands?
Yeah. Kiss them babies and let them go.
Jimmy's Look Back has been brought to you by Tracker Boats.
Got him?
Yeah.
How big's that critter, Tommy?
I don't think he's very big.
Thinks he is.
He thinks he is.
Big as he's ever been. Nice fish. I don't think he's very big. I don't think he's very big. Think again. Look at that fish. Wow. Think again. He's way up in here.
Yeah.
Yeah. We might have gone the wrong way.
Yeah.
Yeah, look at that fish. Yeah, buddy. Look at the head on that girl. My goodness. Got that bait down deep too, doesn't it? Is that,
No,
was that,
it's
was
right
that?
in the lip.
Yeah, oh yeah, perfect, perfect.
Yeah.
Beautiful. That fish already spawned out. Got it, got it. Let her go. Yeah, baby. I'm talking about right there.
There you go, girl.
But, oh, there's one. I'm gonna hit that spinnerbait. They're chasing some shad right here. Another one moved right over here when I hit this little guy. Come here, little feller. Spinnerbait fish. Come here, baby doll. Come here, sugar bear. Uh-oh, that's one of the Florida fish right there.
Is it?
Look at here. One of the things that we talked about is genetics. You see this fish right here? That is a pure Florida fish, and they've clipped that fin in order to identify it. So when you're removing fish from the lake to help the fishing in the lake, you don't want to take this fish out because that's a pure Florida largemouth. Now, one of the things you do, one of the reasons you put pure Floridas in is they will breed with the F1s here. They'll breed with the regular largemouth that's here. And if they breed with a northern largemouth, or what we call a Texas largemouth, that will turn into an F1. The babies that hatch out will be an F1. So that's got the fin clipped, and they put them in there a couple, 2 or 3 years in a row, and I think they said they got like 300 or 400 of them, and they're all just about this size. So we want to throw that little girl back and let her produce some pure Floridas in here. You know, years ago when they first started putting fish in private lakes in Texas, a lot of years ago, they put Floridas in, and they thought, boy, this is the answer to private lake fishing. We'll put the Florida bass in because they can live down here. The climate's good. We actually did it in Oklahoma also, and people grew big fish. They get these fish get real big, but you know, all of a sudden they quit catching them out of these lakes. And they couldn't ever figure out what was wrong, and they would have lakes that, you know, they'd call and have them shock the lake, and they'd say, we hadn't caught a bass over 4 or 5 pounds out of here in 3 or 4 years, and they'd shock up all these 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 pound bass. And the Florida bass, once they get caught a time or two, they get cautious or they get leery or something, and you can't catch them nearly as well. Plus the fact that once they get up to 4 or 5 or 6 pounds, they pretty much become only live bait feeders.
That's a pretty fish. Little one, but pretty.
I got somebody's fishing string that time.
He doesn't have any clipped fins.
No, he's not clipped.
Fat little sucker too.
Yep.
Jimmy Houston Outdoors is brought to you by Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's. Your adventure starts here. By High Seas, when the money's on the line. By Jackson Kayak, Advantage Fisherman. By Orion Coolers, never lose your cool. And by Lucky Strike, where preparation and opportunity collide. Houston's Helpful Hints is brought to you by Jimmy Houston High-Tech Performance Fishing Rods.
You know, I tell you what, let's talk a little bit about conservation rather than talking about how to catch fish and lures and way to work them and stuff. Let's just talk for a second or two about conservation, making fishing water better. And now we're on a club lake out here that's got about 70 members, and they pool all their money and their expertise and to try to make this lake better. And this particular lake started back in 1923 or 22, something like that, almost 100 years ago, and it's still very, very good today. It fished hard for us today because of the weather situations, but you know, you don't have to have a big lake, you don't have to have a bunch of members, you don't have to have a bunch of money to make fishing water better. If you've got some place that you fish, no matter where it is, I mean, you can be on a public lake, you can be on a private lake, you can make that fishing better. If you're on a public lake and you own a piece of property there, put you a fish feeder right out in front of your house. That will make it better. Put you some lights out there on your dock or your pier that will attract bait fish and minnows to the night. You'll make the fishing better right there where you are. If you like catfish, if you're on a public lake, start throwing some bait out there for the catfish and you'll attract the catfish. If you live somewhere where you're fishing farm ponds or you have neighbors that's got farm ponds around, you can make those better by simply doing some of the same things I talked about, or maybe buying some fertilizer. Maybe you've got some farm ponds that the farmer allows you to go fish, or the owner of that pond allows you to go fish. You know, fertilize that pond. You can make that a little bit better. Maybe you want to take a pond and add some, you know, put a fish feeder out on it where it's going to, you know, grow the fish food chain from the bottom up. These are things that you can do whether you own a private lake or not. You know, we are all kind of given by God the ability and the desire and the responsibility to make fishing better, to make hunting better. And as outdoorsmen, we are absolutely the best conservationists in the world. So if you've got some piece of water that you fish, try to think of ways that you can make it better. And by golly, you can. You make it better for your kids, your grandkids, kids that come along 100 years after you and I are dead and gone.
Well, it's late in the day and the sun's getting low. Caught me a big one, but let it go. I sure had fun just watching him stretch my line.